At a surface level, the program is going out of its way to not be dogmatic. It's going out of its way to say, hey, we know you're skeptical. Hey, don't come here unless you want to come here. Choose your own kind of higher power. There's nothing about how fast you have to work the 12 steps. Nothing that says you have to work the 12 steps. Everything is languaged from the place of suggestion as opposed to declarative statements about how you're supposed to be. And when you see that in the literature of Alcoholics Anonymous, you see, wow, these were people that not only weren't particularly dogmatic for their set and setting, they also were incredibly sensitive to the fact that people would be sensitive to dogma. I'm fascinated. I read the book. I'm half African American, and if I read the sort of core text, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm shocked that the word Negro is not in there. I mean, it's 1936. It's pre-civil rights movement, and it says nothing about who can come and who can't. It's fascinating because at that time, if you were an African American person, you were drinking out of a small water fountain. You were sitting in the back of a bus. There were plenty of restaurants you weren't allowed to eat in. Most hotels you couldn't stay in, so you weren't allowed most places. There's nothing in the big book that says anything about race or says anything about gender. There's some kind of old-fashioned patriarchal misogyny in some of the stories, and there's a chapter to the wise. Maybe that should be updated if they ever do another series, but it's also understanding it was written in 1936. So when I read any text, I'm recognizing that I'm reading something that was written in a particular place at a certain time, right? And I put that into context for myself. So I would say there's dogma in the 12 steps. I would say it's not my cup of tea. I would say that it largely has to do with the personalities that exist in particular meetings in the fellowship.